Hey guys, my name's Jacob. I'm a full-time sports photographer based here in the Lake Tahoe area of California. And today I'm going to give you 5 tips that are going to help improve your sports photography. This video is going to be geared towards the beginner or maybe the parent that has kids that are in sports and you're on the sidelines trying to get some cool action shots of your kids. Hopefully this is going to help you guys come away with some tips that you can try out at your next basketball game, track event, whatever it may be. These are going to be pretty universal tips. So depending on the sport, things are going to change a little bit, but these should help you get started. Tip number 1 is to not be afraid of manual mode. I know a lot of people are going to be really comfortable using that auto mode on their camera, but when it comes to sports, one thing that's really important is to use a shutter speed that's fast enough to actually freeze the motion. Now there are some cool shots you can get with motion blur if it's intentional, but for the purpose of this video, let's just say you want to freeze the motion. So depending on the sport, the shutter speed's going to fluctuate a little bit, but what I would recommend is for most sports not to shoot below about 1/500th of a second, and that's going to do a pretty good job in most cases of freezing the action. So if you're shooting a runner going by, if you can shoot up to 1/1000th of a second, if you have the light available for that, that's awesome. That's definitely going to freeze everything. If you're shooting, say, motocross or motorcycles and they're flying by going super fast and there's wheels moving and all that, and you want to freeze those completely, you're going to probably have to shoot maybe double that, maybe 1/2000th of a second. Totally depends on the speed of things and what your objective is with your photos. But in a lot of cases, we're going to just start to shoot with a little bit higher shutter speed, and that might mean that you're going to have to shoot on a faster lens. Might mean that you're going to have to bump your f-stop down as low as your lens can go, which on a kit lens might be f3.5 or f4, but get that aperture down low and crank your shutter speed up, and then use your ISO to kind of compensate and find the sweet spot for exposure. So obviously this tip is going to apply if you just want to stop the motion and get those really sharp, crisp images of, maybe a football player catching the ball in the air for a touchdown, or maybe you want to freeze the action of a runner coming by. That's what you're going to have to do. If you're not comfortable in full manual mode yet, but you want to start experimenting with this, what you can do is set your camera to shutter priority. Then the only setting you're going to have to worry about is your shutter speed, and the camera is going to do its best to compensate with f-stop and ISO to properly expose those images. So start playing around with it. The sooner you can get in manual mode and start understanding your camera a little bit better, the sooner your photography is just going to be elevated to the next level. So tip number 2 is to get up, move around, and vary your position. I know in some instances this isn't possible. You're stuck in the bleachers, or you've been assigned a spot to shoot. But if you can at all, vary your focal lengths, move your body, get in different spots. You see so many sports shots that are just, the entire football field or the entire basketball court, and you can't really, those images typically don't have a whole lot of focus on a subject. So if you can get down low and, get in tight, capture the emotion, capture, the shoes, capture the ball, whatever it is that makes that sport unique. Try to capture those things so that you can have a broad range of images, get your wide shots, your tight shots, and then you can tell the story of the game or the event or that athlete's journey a little bit better. Something you're probably going to find really helpful when it comes to this is shooting with some sort of a zoom lens. I know in some cases a prime is going to be better, but in a lot of cases with sports photography, we don't need to be shooting at f1.8 or f1.4. So some sort of a zoom lens is going to be great. I shoot with this 70-200 almost every time I go out and shoot. It gives me a huge range of focal length, so I can really zoom in on people's faces or their feet or whatever it may be. And this shoots down to f2.8, so it gives me pretty good light availability in most instances. So if you got a zoom lens, throw that on your camera, and that's gonna help you mix it up a little bit. So not every shot's gonna be at 24 millimeters or 50 millimeters, and it'll give you more flexibility with what you're able to capture. All right, so tip number 3, this is gonna kind of piggyback on the last one where I told you to move around and vary your focal lengths a little bit. But tip number 3 is to focus on the details. There's so many sports photos out there where it's a wide shot, you see 20 football players all running into each other, it's chaos, but you don't know where to look. So when you're taking an image, as simple as this sounds, shoot your photos with intentionality and know what you're trying to capture. A lot of times when I'm out shooting, I'll be out shooting, say, an ultra marathon, and one of the things that happens there is they'll come into an aid station on a hot day, and they'll take these wet sponges and they'll soak their heads in cold water. So I'll try to get in really nice and tight and show the water dripping off their face and show that sort of expression of relief on their face as they're cooling off after they've been out running in the hot weather. So things like that, you can get in really tight, get people's expressions, try to show the emotion. If maybe you're shooting a cyclocross event and it's really muddy, try to focus on those things that make the event or that sport unique. If it's that muddy cyclocross event, try to show the muddy tires or try to show the components of the bike that are all clogged up with mud, things like that. So get creative about it and try to get those unique shots that you don't see every day. It's fine to get the hero shot, but definitely try to mix it up. Some of my proudest images are the ones that aren't what you see on Instagram every day. There's something unique that I haven't seen before. So just try to get creative with it and know what you're trying to capture in your image. Okay, so tip number 4. A lot of times when you're shooting sports, again, maybe you're stuck up in the bleachers and you can't get down on the court level or the track level or whatever it is. If you can, try to get down low, try to get below the eye level of the athlete and try to shoot up towards the athlete. In a lot of cases, what this is gonna do is it's gonna make that athlete look big, larger than life. It's gonna make them look taller, stronger, bigger. So if you can get down below them, kind of shoot from ground level up, and that's gonna give the image a whole nother kind of dimension. So this is gonna mostly apply if you're doing full body shots. It can work in other scenarios, but I use this a lot in running as people are going by. I'm down on the ground. I'm getting maybe gravel in the foreground to give some context to the image, but I'm shooting up at that athlete to make them look large and heroic and larger than life. Okay, and the final tip of the day is to shoot raw images. I know, again, this is sort of like shooting in auto mode. You're gonna be comfortable with JPEGs because they come out of the camera, they look great. But if you're doing any post-processing at all, shooting in RAW is gonna give you so much more flexibility in your edits. So, if you underexposed an image, you're gonna be able to pull that up and make it look okay. You can just do a lot to save your images in editing if you do shoot in RAW, where if you're only shooting JPEGs, everything's kind of baked into that image and there's not a whole lot of flexibility after the fact. So shoot in RAW mode. If you're not totally comfortable with that yet, shoot JPEG plus RAW. Most of the cameras these days can do that. So you'll have both files, but you're gonna want those raw images to play with, and that's gonna help a ton when it comes to editing. That's it, guys. I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any questions on settings or anything like that, I can make another video for that, but feel free to ask those in the comments section and I'll do my best to get back to everybody. I hope you found this useful. Let me know if you go out on your next shoot and you use any of these tips. I'd love to hear what you thought. And if you like this video, hit the thumbs up for me. And if you want to see more of this sports shooting content, subscribe to the channel. And I can't wait to see you guys in the next video. Peace out.